All right, thank you. The Respiratory Therapist and Polysomnographic Technologist Licensing Board meeting is convening at 9:07 a.m. on November 13th, 2025. This meeting is being held in person and through MS Teams video conference and is being recorded. The recording will be posted to the internet for public viewing. I will now call roll. Michael Erickson, Chairperson.
He's not going to attend today, so you don't need to call him any other time today.
Copy. Richard Burton, second, Vice Chairperson. Present. Daryl Tony Waite.
Present.
Michael LaFour.
He's absent, and you don't have to call him today either. Again.
Thank you. Kerry Kaufman.
Present.
Alan.
Present.
And Mario Luera.
Present.
Thank you. Members, when you wish to speak, please state your last name for the record. Board members are asked to not use the chat feature during meetings. The Health Licensing Office, HLO, asks that individuals attending through MS Teams keep their phones muted and cameras off during the entire meeting or until they are given an opportunity to comment during the public and interested parties' feedback period, if indicated on the agenda. Public comment is limited to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what the board has statutory authority to regulate. Public members wishing to speak, please sign in on the roster sheet available in the room or email Josh Page at josh.page@oha.oregon.gov and provide your first and last name. Everyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocols when conducting board business. At this time, the Respiratory Therapist and Polysomnographic Technologist Licensing Board will hear public and interested parties' feedback. Public comment is
Hold on, Chair. That's not there yet. That's number 5 or number 4 on the agenda.
Sorry.
No problem. You're just reading down your scripts. I appreciate that.
All right.
Next item on the agenda are items for board action and include the approval of the agenda. So we'll need one board member to approve the agenda and then
This is Tony Waite. I move to approve.
that was Tony that initiated and Alan seconded. Chair, if you can do a roll call.
I'm sorry, I missed that last part. You were broken coming through my.
We've had a first and a second.
Okay.
Now, if you can do a roll call.
All right. Daryl Tony Waite.
Aye.
Kerry Kaufman.
Aye.
Alan Roth.
Aye.
Mario Luera.
Aye.
And Richard Burton. Aye.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is approval of the meeting dates. And if folks are following along on the computer, we are on slide 8. And those dates are Thursday, April 23, 2026, Thursday, October 15, 2026. So if everybody could take a look at calendars to see if those dates work, we'll need a first and a second motion and then another roll call.
Tony Waite, I move to approve.
Richard Burton, I second.
Richard, you're the chair. You can't do it today.
Oh.
Thank you.
Right.
I'll second. And Alan seconded. Okay. Please.
All right. Daryl Tony Waite.
Aye.
Kerry Kaufman.
Aye.
Alan Roth.
Yes.
Mario Luera.
Aye.
All right. Richard Burton, aye.
Chair, this is Bob. I'm sorry, I did not hear Carrie.
Carrie Kaufman,
Yes, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Aye.
Carrie, we can barely hear you. I'm sorry. Is something microphone close to your mouth or not close enough?
Let me turn it up. Is that better?
No.
No? How about now?
I mean, we can hear you, but it's barely, so we can, continue on. And yeah, I don't, Richard, are you using your mouse quite a bit? Or is it right next to your microphone? Because what we hear on our end is a bunch of scratching and thumping.
that's a negative. I do have a mouse, but not using it is that frequently.
Okay, so if everybody else, unless you're called on, please mute your microphone. Okay, now, next item on the agenda is approval of the 2026 chair and vice person. And currently we have Michael Erickson as the chair and Richard Burton is the vice chair. And I'll go through the board membership real quick.
Just a quick thing on Michael Erickson. He did reappoint and he will be good to go by the end of this month. So keep that in mind.
Okay. So Michael Erickson is in a first full term, actually now in a second term, and he did reappoint. And so he'll be good for 3 years. 3 years. He'll be good through 2026. How's that? Tony is also in the first term that expires September 30, 2028, and Tony can reappoint. Richard Burton, our current vice chair, is in a first term that expires 12/15 to 28. Richard can reappoint. Michael, we just covered. Carrie Kaufman is in a first term and that expires 9/30 of 28, can reappoint. Dr. LaFour is serving until replaced. Mario Luera is in a first term and it expires 2/28/29. And Mario can reappoint. Alan Roth is in a first term and that expires 2/28/29 and can reappoint. So with that being said, the board can discuss who they would like for chair or vice chair in the 2026 calendar year. And if there's no discussion and things are working out fine, we can get a motion to leave Michael Erickson as chair and Richard Burton as vice chair. Discussion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the current members moving forward following year. 2026.
This
Now-
Tony Waite, I concur.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to have Michael Erickson continue serving as the chair and Richard Burton as the vice chair. Chair, can I get a roll call, please?
Daryl Tony Waite,
Aye.
Carrie Kaufman,
Aye. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Alan Roth,
Yes.
Mario Luera,
Aye.
Richard Burton, aye.
Okay, congratulations, chair, vice chair. Next item on the agenda are the director's reports. And we are moving on to Well, that would be starting on slide 13, but I just went over the board member standings. So we will move on to slide 18. And we're currently in the second quarter of fiscal year 2026. And we have had a total of 85 licenses issued in quarter one and quarter two. That's a total. And licenses renewed, we have had a total of 796 in quarter one and quarter two. Those were only RTs. Polysom, we've had a total of 88 renew. And on slide 21 is a slide of licenses by age and gender. A total of 2,103. That was RT, and for polysomnography, we have a total of 296, and this is looking at the slide by age and gender on slide 22. Any questions so far? Seeing none. On slide 23, licensing trends. This is an average of 2,070. I don't know what is going on with the decline that we have seen in fiscal year 2025, but it looks like it's popped up a little bit and stabilized at about 2,070. Hopefully it continues to grow. And that was for respiratory therapists. Polysomnographers also had a decline, and that was through fiscal year 2025, and currently at an average of about 258 licensees. On slide 25, we have the RT and Polysom technologist licensing test results, exams. That includes the Polysom exam and the respiratory therapist laws and rules exams. You can see there's a very high pass rate. Both. Questions on that? Okay. Moving on to the financial report. Board had a beginning balance of 55,031 in the negative, revenues of 81,164, expenditures of 50,266 and 27 cents, and net operations of 23,898, leaving a ending cash balance in the negative of 31,131. And as you can see over the last couple biennium, that we are slowly moving towards a positive territory. Any questions on the director's report on any of the slides that I've provided so far?
I just have one question. The number of therapists that are listed, do we know if there's any correlation with the number of graduates in respiratory programs? Are those decreasing, the number of people entering respiratory programs?
That's a great question, and I have no idea. Sorry about
Thank you.
that. Yeah, I don't know. I noticed that, and I actually had the numbers double checked. And we're talking about slide 23 for everybody else, where we went from an average of about 2,179 all the way down to 2,055. I'm not, and those numbers are correct, but I don't know, and I don't know if anybody online is aware of why there's such a sharp decline. But
This is Tony. I wonder how much pandemic results and all the traveler applications has an effect on that. You'd have to look back to your 2019 data pushing forward to see if that was that spike, I think.
good call. We will look at that. and bring it to you at your first meeting next year. Okay. We're moving on to slide 27 and 28, which is the regulatory report.
Hello, everybody. This is Trampus Shuck. I'm the regulatory manager here at the Health Licensing Office. I'm here to talk about the regulatory report. So as you can see, we got a couple of different boxes here. The cases open and closed status. We have two biennium that still have cases open. One is just the last one, which ended in basically ended June 30th of 2025. So just a couple of months ago, 4 months ago. We had 21 cases come in for that year. We still have 16 of those open. So 21. I went back to look and see if 21 was a large number for the biennium or a smaller number for the biennium. And this board kind of seems to be all over the map. Sometimes you'll have whole years where you go by and you'll get 5 or 6 cases total. And then you'll have a big year and you'll have 16, 18 cases in a year. So it's kind of hard to tell. You don't have a super steady kind of flow. It does kind of come in groups. So we'll have to just see how the 2027 biennium. The 2027 biennium is the brand new biennium that we're in. We're about 4 months into it, but we have received 7 complaints already. Now, there is also a little bit of a chance that some of these things overlap, and I'll talk about that maybe a little bit in complaints by type, where we might have one respiratory therapist, one incident with a couple of reports on it. So, but that's what we're seeing here. We had 7 come in and 7 are still open, which means none were closed administratively, which means they all had some merit or some potential violation that we had jurisdiction over that we actually have to look into. So we've actually had quite a few complaints come in just in that 4-month period. That's pretty high. So the complaints by type, you can see we have the same 2 biennium over there. We have critical complaints regarding licensing concerns. You could almost kind of put those together. They both have to do with licensing issues. Mandatory self-reporting, that's where a respiratory therapist actually has some problem that they're reporting themselves on that. Sometimes those complaints can kind of slip past us and end up in a licensing concern category. So, and like I said, also what I was talking about, the double complaints, oftentimes you'll get somebody who some incident happens in a hospital or the respiratory therapist, and the person has to self-report because they had some disciplinary action at the hospital, and then the hospital or the place they're working for also reports it as well. So sometimes we end up with two complaint numbers that get open for one person. We have to close one of those out, but it does kind of inflate the numbers a little bit. So you can see service and sanitation issues. That's not real common with this board. Services provided, so that is more along the lines of something actually happened some situation actually happened that we're investigating, like somebody there's a potential for harm or there was an issue with a particular patient. And then the last category is opened for failure to meet CE audit requirements. And CE, as we all know, is continuing education. We've been doing some audits over the last, in 2025 for continuing education requirements. And 2 of those got opened up with as potential issues. And I can say that just from my memory banks here, one of them actually ended up getting closed because after looking at it closely, I decided there wasn't really a violation there. So that number over on the 2027 biennium, one of those actually has been closed. But over here, you're seeing this 2 that were opened under CE audits, which is a pretty low number, which is, I guess that means that respiratory therapists were pretty good about fulfilling their audit requirements when asked. So you can see complainants by type. It's all other on this board. It's clients aren't complaining. and people are pretty much putting their names on all the complaints that have come in. So you've just got basically, it's other, which could be the self-reporting, that could be the hospitals or businesses that they work for. That's oftentimes who makes complaints, or sometimes it's the public at large, but pretty rarely does an actual patient complain. I think in my history, I've been with the agency for 17 years, and I've been an investigator for a good portion of that. And I think I only had one case where it was the actual client for a respiratory therapist who complained. Maybe it was two. So that's the regulatory report. Does anybody have any questions about regulatory report? I know that we have an executive session coming up where we're going to talk about some specifics about a case or two, but this is the public area where we can talk about kind of regulatory. We can talk about investigations or anything like that, or any questions anybody has. No? Okay, great.
Excellent. Thank you, Travis.
Everybody.
Chair, this is Bob. The next item on the agenda is the public interested parties feedback, and you do have a script for that.
Thank you. At this time, the Respiratory Therapist and Polysomnographic Technologist Licensing Board will hear public and interested parties' feedback. Public comment is limited to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what this board has statutory authority to regulate. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes and will not be allowed if they are disruptive to the board's conduct. If you are called to comment, staff will request the public member to unmute themselves. The chairperson and HLO reserve the right to end the person's comment early and have HLO staff mute the public member if the comment does not pertain to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what the board has statutory authority to regulate. Are there any members of the public who would wish to comment? If so, please raise your hand or use the MS Teams raise hand feature and wait to be acknowledged.
Are there any members of the public that wish to speak? Go ahead and unmute and announce yourself, please. Okay. So with that, Chair, move into executive session. And so give us a moment. So if you could, do you have a script for executive session, Chair?
Yes, I'm ready. The Respiratory Therapist and Polysomnographic Technologist Licensing Board will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602F and ORS 676.595 for the purpose of considering information or records that are exempt by law from public disclosure at 9:31 a.m. on November 13th, 2025. Representatives of the news media shall be allowed to attend the executive session. Audience members attending through MS Teams will now be moved into a separate breakout room, and audience members attending in person are asked to leave the room, both for the duration of the executive session. Those authorized to attend the executive session, please continue to keep your phone muted and camera off. Are there any representatives from the news media on MS Teams?
Seeing none, Chair.
All right. So, recognizing that there is no news media in attendance, the public will now be moved into a separate breakout room for the duration of the executive session. We will return to open session before taking any final action or making any final decisions. Do we have an estimated time how long the executive
I'm gonna guess about 30 minutes. Travis? Yeah, about 30 minutes, Chair.
Thank you. It is estimated that the board will return to public session at approximately 10:03 a.m. Please be aware that it is possible that the board's executive session may last longer than 10:03 a.m. If the public has any executive questions about whether the board is still in executive session, then the public can contact Josh Page at josh.page@oha.oregon.gov. We are now in executive session.
Okay,
Licensing board will now exit executive session and reconvening open session at 10:40 a.m. No final decisions were made and no votes were taken in executive session. The public will be moved from the breakout room back into the meeting, and representatives of the media may once again report all board discussions and actions.
okay,
All right.
go ahead.
So in case number 25-11506, it is proposed that the board issue a $500 civil penalty, suspend the license until CE requirements are met, and place the respondent on probation for the next 2 renewal cycles. Also assess any costs of disciplinary proceedings up to $5,000 and give HLO the ability to negotiate.
This is Tony Waite. I move to approve that.
Second.
That was Alan seconding. Chair vote, please. All right, roll call, sorry.
Carol Tony Waite,
Approve.
Michael LaFour,
Absent.
Carrie Kaufman,
Approve.
Alan Roth,
Approve.
Mario Luera,
Approved.
Richard Burton, approved.
Okay, thank you, Chair. The next item on the agenda is other board business. Is there any other board business that anybody on the board would like to discuss?
This is Tony Waite. I'd like the board to consider moving towards any emergency room that offers 24-hour service, also have in place an in-house respiratory therapist for all those hours, and that on-call does not suffice the respiratory care needs of the community.
So I'm taking a note. So your request is to have emergency rooms have RTs staffed?
Correct. That on-call is not considered adequate staffing.
Okay, so typically what we would do is go through your statutes to ensure that HLO has the authority to make that call. I'm not convinced that we do at this point in time. We may need to get legal advice and or one of the associations may need to take it to the legislature for changing the current statutes.
Thank you.
Tony, do you know for situations where that is current, I mean, as widespread or spotty?
It is currently becoming widespread. Reedsport is on call. Coquille is on call for part of the week. One person I spoke with, Gold Beach and Brookings, share an RT between the 2 facilities. And there are a number of other hospitals that I'm being told, but I don't have the specifics. So it is a growing direction.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to correct. That's incorrect for Gold Beach and Brookings, Oregon at this time.
Thank you, Robert. I wasn't sure if that was still current or not.
No, not as of since the first of the year.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Was there any other discussion? This is Bob. I have not said that almost all day. And if there is no other discussion, then Chair, you can adjourn the meeting.
All right, thank you. The Respiratory Therapist and Polysomnographic Technologist Licensing Board meeting is adjourned at 10:46 a.m.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you.